There's a very specific image that comes to mind when we talk about generative AI at work. We've all seen the stock photos.
Well,
We've read the articles.
yeah.
It's the image of the lonely supercoder. You know the vibe I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Headphones on, hood up, glowing screen, just typing furiously into a prompt bar.
It's the whole man versus machine narrative, or I guess man plus machine.
Yeah.
It's still very, very much alone.
Exactly. The story is that you, sitting in your cubicle or your home office, you suddenly have the power to do the work of 10 people without ever speaking to another human.
You're a productivity island.
A productivity island. And the assumption, logically, is that as these tools get better, the need for human interaction just, well, drops.
Right. Why would I ask a colleague a question when the bot knows the answer instantly? It makes perfect intuitive sense.
But as we often find on this show, intuition can be dead wrong.
It often is.
Which brings us to today's deep dive. We're looking at a breakthrough 2026 study. Buxenschos, Kofberum, Beeman, and Puranam.
Quite a lineup.
And they ran this massive field experiment. And I really want to stress this. Not a lab simulation with undergrads, but a real-world deployment in a corporate setting.
This is key.
And they found that AI didn't isolate people. It actually rewired the entire social structure of the company. It forced people to talk more, not less.
It's a completely counterintuitive finding. I mean, the headline is basically this. AI doesn't just speed up individuals, it changes the whole shape of the organization.
So it's not just productivity software?
No, they call it collaboration infrastructure.
Collaboration infrastructure. That is a heavy term. Usually when I hear that, I think of Slack, Microsoft Teams, Zoom. I don't think of a chatbot.
Right.
So to get there, we first need to be very precise about what tech they were actually using in this study. Because this wasn't just someone sneaking onto ChatGPT to write a cover letter, was it?
No, and that distinction is probably the single most critical variable here. If you just give employees generic ChatGPT, what would call an off-the-shelf model, you might actually see that isolation. But in this study, the firm, it was a large European technology services company, they deployed what they called grounded GenAI.
Grounded, meaning it's tethered to something real.
Exactly. It relies on a technique called retrieval augmented generation, or ARAG.
Let's pause and unpack our RAG, because it sounds super technical, but the practical implication for anyone listening is huge. How is this different from the AI most of us use at home?
Think of it this way. A generic LLM, like the base version of GPT-4, is like hiring a brilliant consultant who's read every book in the library.
Okay.
But they've never set foot in your office. They don't know your history. They don't know your acronyms. And they definitely don't know about that specific project you failed at 3 years ago.
Right. They're a smart stranger. You ask them, how do we handle refunds? And you get a textbook answer.
Exactly. Our RAG changes that. It connects the brain of the AI to your company's internal archives, your emails, your CRM records, your meeting transcripts, your project docs. So when you ask a grounded AI that same question, it retrieves the relevant internal documents first. Then it uses the AI to synthesize an answer based on those facts.
So it moves from, here's how a generic company handles a refund, to, here is how we handled the Anderson refund last November. And by the way, here's the email where Sarah approved the exception.
Precisely. It turns the AI from a stranger into a colleague with perfect memory. And that distinction is what triggers the social rewiring we're about to discuss.
Okay, let's get into the experiment. So 316 employees. Half get this grounded AI that knows everything about the company's history. The other half is the control group business as usual.
Right.
The hypothesis, the substitution hypothesis, would be that the AI group just stops bugging their coworkers. I don't need you because I have the machine.
That's what they wanted to test. But the data showed the complementarity hypothesis won out by a landslide. The employees with the AI became significantly more socially active.
Put some numbers on that for me. How much more connected are we talking about here?
They measured it in terms of new, distinct ties. So new people you're actually interacting with to get work done.
Got it.
The control group, doing business as usual, they increased their network by about 1.1 new people over the period. That's, standard organic growth. You meet a new person here or there.
Sure, makes sense.
The AI group, they increased their network by an average of 7.8 new connections.
Wait, almost 8 new people? That is a massive delta.
It's huge.
That's 8 new working relationships purely because they had access to a chatbot.
Yes. And specifically, when they looked at the knowledge network, which tracks who you go to for information, That went up by 5.2 connections for the AI group versus only 0.8 for the control.
I need to understand the mechanism here, because visually, this doesn't compute for me yet. I'm sitting at my desk, I type a query into the bot. How do I fix this bug, or what's the status of the Gamma project? The bot gives me an answer.
Right.
Where does the human connection come from? Why am I suddenly talking to 8 new people?
It comes down to two main functions the researchers identified. And this is really where the grounded part of the AI shines. The first mechanism is the translator function.
Translator, you mean like French to English?
More like engineering to sales. You know how siloed organizations get? Engineering speaks in technical debt and latency. Sales speaks in value props and lead times.
Oh, absolutely.
And usually people avoid talking to other departments because it's kind of painful. You don't want to look stupid, or you just don't know how to phrase the request.
Oh, I've sent those emails where I spend 20 minutes trying to sound like I know what an API is, just so the devs don't laugh at me.
Exactly. The AI lowers that friction. You can say to the bot, explain this engineering update in plain English so I can tell the client.
No, interesting.
Or draft an email to legal about this clause, but use the right terminology so they take me seriously. It emboldens you to cross those departmental lines because you feel prepared.
So it acts as a confidence buffer. It translates the jargon so I can actually have a conversation.
Right. It greases the wheels of communication. But the second mechanism is the real driver of those huge connection numbers. They call it the knowledge catalyst.
A catalyst implies it's starting a reaction.
It is. It speeds up the discovery of who knows what. Remember, this AI has access to all the archives. So you ask it, has anyone ever solved a latency issue with this specific server architecture?
Right.
The bot doesn't just, hallucinate a fix. It says, according to the project logs from 2024, Jane Doe fixed a similar issue on the beta project.
Ah, I see. It acts as a pointer.
It's a corporate matchmaker. It turns unknown unknowns into known knowns. You didn't know Jane Doe existed or that she worked on that thing 2 years ago. Now you do.
So the bot gives you the context.
But it can't do the physical work or explain the nuance. So what do you do next?
You message Jane.
You message Jane. Hey, the boss said you fixed this 2 years ago. Can you walk me through it? Boom. New connection formed.
That is really interesting. So it replaces the search for the expert, the wandering around the office asking, who knows about this?
Yeah.
But it doesn't replace the expert.
No, in fact, it funnels more people toward the expert.
Wow.
It increases the velocity of information flow. Instead of you stumbling around for 3 days asking 5 different people, you go straight to the source.
If you visualize that on a map, usually an org chart looks like a pyramid or maybe a bunch of little clustered islands. Sales talking to sales, dev talking to dev.
Rigid silos.
But the after picture for the AI group.
The study actually included these network maps. The AI group looks like a dense web. The core becomes incredibly interconnected. The structural holes, the gaps between departments get filled in.
Which sounds like a utopian outcome for a CEO. Look, my company's finally collaborating. The silos are breaking down.
It's the dream.
But, and there's always a but, in these studies, this didn't play out the same way for everyone, did it?
No, and this is where the nuance is just vital for anyone listening who wants to know how this impacts their specific job. Okay, the study found what they call a tale of two roles. The impact of the AI depended heavily on whether you were a generalist or a specialist.
Let's define those terms in this context so we're clear.
Okay, so generalists are your integrators. Think project managers, customer success managers, account executives. Their value comes from coordination, communication, synthesizing information.
They're the glue.
They're the glue. And specialists are your deep technical experts. The software architects, the niche legal advisors, the data scientists, the people you go to when you have a specific hard problem that no one else can solve.
Okay, so who benefited more from this grounded AI?
Well, they both benefited, but they won different prizes. The generalist won on productivity.
Pure output.
Pure volume. The study showed the generalists saw an absolute increase of about 3.6 projects on average. They were just churning through more tasks, handling more accounts, keeping more balls in the air.
That makes sense. If my job is 60% email, summarizing meetings, organizing tickets, an LLM is the ultimate force multiplier. It automates all that administrative overhead.
It automates what they call routine knowledge brokerage. It frees them up to just do more. But the specialists, they didn't see that same jump in project volume.
Why not?
Well, because you can't just auto-complete a complex architectural redesign. Deep problem solving doesn't scale linearly with AI just yet.
Right.
But The specialists saw a massive jump in social capital, specifically a metric called in-degree centrality.
In-degree centrality. That sounds like academic speak for popularity.
It essentially means everyone wants a piece of you. Because the AI was acting as that pointer we talked about earlier, it was constantly surfacing the specialists' names to the rest of the company.
Ask Sarah. Ask Mike.
Ask David, exactly.
So the AI made the specialists famous.
It made their expertise visible. Before the AI, a specialist might do brilliant work, save it as a PDF, and bury it in a shared drive. It's dark data. No one sees it.
And the grounded AI just shines a spotlight right on it.
And tells the generalists, look what they did.
So the dynamic shifts. The generalists become the seekers, using the AI to find answers, and the specialists become the sources that the AI points to.
Precisely. And the key phrasing the authors use is that AI acts as a substitute for the generalist's grunt work, but a complement to the specialist's deep expertise.
Now, I'm listening to this and I'm thinking about the human cost. Because generalists are doing more projects. It sounds an awful lot like working harder, and specialists are getting more calls. Sounds like getting interrupted constantly.
Yeah.
Did the study measure how these people actually felt? Were they miserable?
They did measure it, and surprisingly, satisfaction went up.
Really? I would have guessed burnout.
Specifically, they measured satisfaction with knowledge access. Think about the frustration of the scavenger hunt. You know the answer exists somewhere in the company, but you can't find it.
Oh, it's the word.
You don't know who to ask. You
Yeah.
feel helpless. You feel like you're wasting your day just trying to get to the starting line. Absolutely. The AI kills that feeling. It turns a frustrating hunt into a direct delivery. So for the generalists, the relief of finding information easily outweighed the burden of the extra work.
Okay, and for the specialists?
There's a validation aspect there. People are coming to you, but they're coming to you for the right reasons. They aren't asking, where is the file? The bot answered that. They're asking, how do we apply this logic to the new client?
So the quality of the conversation improves.
Drastically. There's a great example in the source material from a global professional services firm, think high-end management consulting.
Okay.
In that world, you have junior consultants and senior partners.
A historically terrifying relationship for the junior.
Right. The junior usually hides until they have something perfect. They don't want to waste the partner's time, and they certainly don't want to look incompetent.
Been there.
But with the AI, the juniors were using it to prep. They would say to the bot, based on our last 5 retail cases, what are the key risks for this new client? Draft a preliminary recommendation.
So they walk into the partner's office with a draft, not a blank sheet.
Exactly. They came prepared. And the study noted a 20% increase in collaboration ties between juniors and seniors.
Wow.
But the key was that the juniors weren't asking basic procedural questions. They weren't asking, what font do we use? Or what's the standard framework?
The bot handled the basics.
Yes. So when they sat down with the partner, they were spending that time on strategy, on nuance, on mentorship.
It effectively leveled the playing field just enough so the junior could engage at a higher level. It removed that imposter syndrome barrier.
It allowed the humans to actually be human, to do the high-value thinking together.
Okay, this all sounds very positive so far. Better connections, happier staff, higher quality chats. But we have to look at the risks.
Always.
You mentioned earlier that specialists saw a spike in in-degree centrality being the center of attention. If I'm a deep thinker, having 50 people pin me because the bot told them to, that sounds like a nightmare.
That is the so what of this entire study. That is the danger zone. There is a very real risk of specialist overload.
You become a victim of your own visibility.
You become a bottleneck. If the AI directs every single query about risk assessment to the same 3 analysts, those analysts are going to burn out. They won't be able to do their actual job because they're spending all day explaining their past work to generalists.
So how do you fix that? You can't just turn the AI off and go back to the dark ages where nobody knew anything.
No, but you have to actively manage the network. And the study, along with some supporting materials, suggest a few organizational strategies that are crucial here.
Okay.
The first is, don't fly blind. Monitor the network analytics.
Treat the org chart like a living organism.
Exactly. HR or management needs to see who is lighting up red on the dashboard. If one person is getting 90% of the inquiries, you have a problem.
Right.
There was a case of a financial services firm that saw this happening to a small group of risk analysts. They were getting hammered.
What did they do?
They created a risk advisory board, so they effectively rotated the duty. This week, it's my turn to answer the questions coming from the AI referrals. Next week, it's yours.
That protects the deep work time.
And they used the AI to triage. They configured the bot to say, here is the standard policy for Tier 1 questions. It only referred the human to the expert for Tier 2 and 3, the complex judgment calls.
That's smart. So you use the AI to shield the expert from the easy stuff, but connect them for the hard stuff.
Right. But the second strategy is arguably more important, and it's about training. Most companies roll out AI training that is one size fits all.
Here is how to write a prompt. Here is how to log in.
Exactly. But we just established that generalists and specialists are using it for totally different things. So the training needs to be role-specific.
Okay.
You train the generalists on synthesis, on verifying the AI's output, on stakeholder management, but you train the specialists on what they call expertise amplification.
Expertise amplification.
Yeah.
I like that. What does that look like in practice?
It means teaching the specialists to use the AI to basically clone themselves. If you answer a complex question once, you teach the specialist to say to the bot, ingest this answer and add it to the knowledge base.
Or draft an FAQ based on this email thread I just wrote.
Exactly. So the next time someone asks, the bot answers it, and the specialist stays asleep. You are teaching them to scale their knowledge so they don't have to scale their time.
It's a crucial skill. If you don't teach that, the specialist drowns. If you do, they become an oracle.
That's it.
There's one last piece here that I think is the most disruptive to the status quo, and that's recognition. Performance reviews.
Oh, this is the culture killer if you get it wrong. Traditional reviews are all about individual output. How many widgets did you build? How many lines of code did you write? How many sales did you close?
Right. But in this new world, the specialists might be spending 30% of their time helping generalists close deals or fix bugs.
So if you are the node that holds the network together, you have to get rewarded for that collaborative impact. You need to get paid for that. If the review is just, what did you do? You fail. It has to be, what did you make possible?
That is a fundamental shift.
It is. If you don't change the incentives, the specialists will just stop answering the phone. They'll start hiding their data again to protect their time.
And then the network collapses right back into silos.
Exactly. The technology works, but only if the HR policy supports it.
It's really a massive reframe of what we think AI is for.
Yeah.
We started this conversation joking about the lonely coder,
Yeah.
but we've ended up seeing AI as a tool for organizational design.
That's the summary right there. Grounded GenAI creates a denser, faster-moving network. It helps generalists produce more, and it helps specialists influence more.
But only if you manage the connections.
Only if you manage the connections. The companies that win won't just be the ones with the best algorithms. They'll be the ones that manage the human traffic that the algorithms create.
It forces us to double down on the human element, mentorship, collaboration, teaching. It's almost ironic.
It is.
The more artificial intelligence we add, the more social intelligence we need to manage it.
That's the paradox. Work is social. AI amplifies the social nature of work. It doesn't replace it.
So here's a provocative thought to leave you with. We are all obsessed with the org chart, the vertical ladder, who reports to whom.
Right.
But if this study is right, and AI makes it effortless to find and utilize any internal expert regardless of their rank, are we moving toward a network hierarchy?
I think we are. We're seeing a flattening effect where influence isn't dictated by the box you sit in on the chart.
Where your value isn't your title, but who calls you and who you help.
The true influencers in the company might not be the VPs anymore. It might be the engineer whose name the AI keeps suggesting because they actually know how the system works.
So ask yourself, are you ready to be evaluated on how much you help others succeed, rather than just what you build yourself? Because that seems to be where the algorithm is pushing us. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.